And welcome to episode 10 of Restoring the Republic. Man, we have some hot topics to discuss today. So first off, did you know that Joe Biden authorized deadly force against Trump? Second, AOC says the quiet part out loud in regards to election interference. And thirdly, you're not going to believe what, again, Joe Biden's State Department said about Iran. So I think the first story, they're all crazy and in and to themselves. We could talk about it for hours ad nauseum, but the first thing is this idea that Joe Biden authorized the FBI to use deadly force against Donald Trump. Now, to play devil's advocate, maybe you say, well, some of the information in there or the language in the order may have been boilerplate information. So when you look at the filing, it says, and again, it's a policy statement, that the use of deadly force, which stated, for example, law enforcement officers of the Department of Justice may use deadly force when necessary. Again, boilerplate, perhaps, information. But what's problematic about that is that the agents, the FBI agents, were encouraged to dress in plain clothes. And the order states, should the U.S. Secret Service provide resistance or interference with the FBI timeline or access, the FBI will engage with the U.S. Secret Service. That, in and of itself, is frightening. And so maybe, even if it's not saying or stating what it implies that it's stating, that you literally could have FBI versus the Secret Service. The Secret Service, by the way, is tasked with protecting Donald Trump. And so now you have plainclothes individuals with weapons coming into his residence, and if for some reason there's a miscommunication and they don't realize that it's the FBI, imagine how that could have gone terribly wrong. So what a crazy circumstance. The lack of foresight that they would send in plainclothes agents, perhaps without proper notification. And again, I think this is a God thing, that something crazy didn't happen, that there wasn't some sort of inadvertent shootout between two government agencies because this was so poorly handled and written. But again, it's Joe Biden. It's the Biden administration. Everything they've done has been poorly handled. Look at the southern border. Think about Lake and Riley. She's dead because of an illegal. There was just a story today talking about fentanyl deaths among young kids is skyrocketing. Think about the young girls that have been recently raped in Virginia and Louisiana by illegals. You just had a hit and run. Death of a family because illegals. Again, over and over and over, Joe Biden is responsible. And you have this situation where they've targeted a former president of the United States and they authorized deadly force. Oh my goodness. And furthermore, they demanded that the guest list or roster of everyone staying there be released. And if it wasn't, they were going to go door to door and force their way into the various rooms of guests of the hotel. Again, think about that for a minute. So this is just another reason why Joe Biden shouldn't be in office, why this is clearly election interference, as they're trying to target this man, this former president, the leader of, he's literally trying to save our country at a time when our country is being targeted by our adversaries, whether it's Russia, Ukraine, China, Taiwan. Look at what happened, Iran, Israel. Look at the unrest in Haiti. We have Americans trapped in Turks and Caicos. We have troops in Niger that aren't being resupplied. The list goes on and on and on. So that's a segue. So obviously, that in itself, we could talk about this. We could have a town hall about it. We could have a forum about it. We could do a teletown hall and take questions all night long about this very subject. But I want to go to the idea. So I went to New York to be with Donald Trump. I was in the courtroom. The defense did a great job of dismantling Cohen's testimony. Their star witness literally is a felon. He's guilty of perjury. He did time in jail, and he's a star witness. He's not a corroborating witness. He's not a supplementary witness. He's the star witness. And then the second witness is, and I'm not trying to be rude, but is a sex worker. So the case in and of itself most likely would have been brought against anyone else except for Donald Trump. And what I've been saying for weeks is that this trial against Trump, whether you like him or not, should frighten you because there's a political agenda to keep him from running for office. Let's play the AOC clip.
He He's doing it in the South Bronx not to make a point, but because he's got court. And the man practically has the legal version of an ankle bracelet around him, and he can't leave the 5 boroughs because he always has to be in court. And so it is truly an embarrassment to
So
him.
that's the part that's important, because she acknowledges the fact that the trial itself is a type of confinement. Joe Biden's numbers are in the basement. He's doing horribly across almost every demographic. Kamala Harris, their backup, her numbers are just as bad. They are terrified of the fact that if the election were held today, Donald Trump would win. And so every day, every minute, every moment that they can keep Donald Trump in the courtroom, he's not on the campaign trail. He just had 100,000 people show up at a rally up in New Jersey. All right, we're not talking about the Deep South, right? We're not talking about MAGA red, Tennessee or Georgia or Alabama. We're talking about New Jersey, 100,000 people. Joe Biden can't get 100 people to show up at a rally. And so they are terrified. They know that there's a train coming through the tunnel, and it's the Trump train. And we're going to win the White House, and we're going to win the Senate, and we're going to win the House of Representatives, and we're going to save this country. We're going to undo all the bad policies of Joe Biden. And you know what? We're going to have to start deporting people. Why? Because we're overrun. So with that, again, underscoring how Joe Biden is a horrible president, how the world is less safe today. I'm not talking about just your backyard, your community, because of the fentanyl and the crime, et cetera. The world is a less safe place today because of Joe Biden. And because of his horrible policies, the foreign policies, a train wreck all over. I mean, you throw a rock in any direction on a map, right? And you're going to see bad foreign policy of Joe Biden. Play the clip about Iran.
The State Department put out a statement sending condolences for his death. Mr. Secretary, is the world better today now that Raisi is dead?
Given the horrible acts that he engaged in both as a judge and as president, to the extent he can no longer engage in them, yes, the Iranian people are probably better off.
You
So
didn't
you
say
have-
that in your statement, did you?
Secretary Blinken acknowledged the fact that the world is a safer place, that the Iranian people are safer because the butcher of Iran is dead. Also keep in mind that Iran is the chief sponsor of terrorism around the world. They were the sponsors of the attack on Israel by Hamas. And so our State Department, after Raisi is killed in a helicopter crash, sends condolences. Again, we have our chief ally in the Middle East, Israel, who's literally at war, who is under attack by the global funder of terrorism, Iran, and we're sending condolences? What, do they send a bouquet as well of flowers? This is absurd, and it's just another way of how mixed signals sends the wrong message to our allies in Europe and around the world that we're kind of soft when it comes to the Arabian Peninsula when we're not. We must defend Israel. We must defeat terrorism, and the chief funder of terrorism is Iran. So with that, welcome to episode 10. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great day, and God bless.